In today's show, we're going to go over what Ian Begley had to say about a potential lineup change for the New York Knicks involving Evan Fournier, Cam Reddish, and Quentin Grimes. So I'll ask you guys before we get rolling on today's show, who should start next to Brunson, Barrett, Randall, and Mitchell Robinson? Who should be that fifth starter? Type 13 for Evan Fournier, 21 for Cam Reddish, or 6 if you're rolling with Quentin Grimes. Shout out to the real ones. You're watching New York Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. On today's show, we're going to go through some advanced stats from Cam Reddish, from Evan Fournier, from Quentin Grimes on who should be the fifth starter on this team. We're going to break that down. We're just a couple of days away from training camp getting kicked off and the season starting on October 19th. So we are less than a month away. And Ian Begley put a piece up on SNY talking about the starting lineup. I thought he said some pretty interesting things. So let's read what he had to say. He went on to say, a few things come to mind here on a potential starting lineup change. When the Knicks signed Jalen Brunson, some in the organization were concerned with the defensive pairing of Evan Fournier and Brunson in the backcourt. He went on to say, I don't know if this was an opinion shared by the majority of decision makers, but it was prevalent. One scenario discussed internally around that time was starting Quentin Grimes at shooting guard and bringing Evan Fournier off the bench. Another scenario discussed internally involved moving RJ Barrett to shooting guard and Cam Reddish to small forward. If I had to guess, the Knicks discussed several other scenarios at the time and in the 10-plus weeks since the signing of Brunson. Based on that knowledge and the idea that Fournier was included in several packages discussed by the Knicks and Utah Jazz and those Donovan Mitchell trade talks, I'd assume that Grimes starts and Fournier comes off the bench. So Ian Begley is rolling with Quentin Grimes as the starting two guard next to RJ Barrett and Brunson in the backcourt. And I truly believe there are good arguments for all three players starting this year. You can make an argument that Quentin Grimes is the best perimeter defender. He's the guy that needs the less touches on offense. You can make an argument for Cam Reddish. He's got the ties and the chemistry with RJ Barrett. You can move RJ back to the 2, a 6'8 small forward that could put the ball on the deck, finish with the right hand or left hand. Or you can make an argument with Evan Fournier, the best scorer on the team out of those three guys, the guy with the most experience, the guy that can get the hottest from 3 and carry the offense. There are truly arguments to be made for all sides. And we're about to go through some advanced stats, and me and producer Seeps will go back and forth and give our opinions. But first, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, because with the season being less than a month away and training camp starting next week, we are only going to continue to do more and more videos on this channel. We're already doing daily videos. We might start doing multiple videos every single day. So if you love the Knicks and you're looking for a one-stop shop on YouTube, hit that big red button, join the family, and subscribe right now. Let's take a look at Quentin Grimes first. What he did in his rookie season. Didn't play a lot of minutes, only averaged 6 points per game, less than a steal per night. Had a really good three-point percentage as a rookie, shooting 38% from 3. The total field goal percentage wasn't all that high, 40%, but more than a good chunk of his shots came from downtown. So it makes sense that his field goal percentage and three-point percentage are really close. Like we said, he didn't get all that many minutes as a rookie. But when he got minutes, when he got 20-plus minutes per game, which happened just 15 times last season, Quentin Grimes showed you the type of player that he could be, averaging 12 points per game, a steal and a half, shooting 44.7% from the field, and a scorching, red-hot 44.6% from 3. When Quentin Grimes got the minutes, he produced. And when he got to start for the New York Knicks, which happened six times last year, the numbers matched it up. 13.3 points per game, 3.3 rebounds per game, 1.3 assists per game, 45% from the field, and 44% from 3. Seeps, if I had to go with someone, I think I would roll with Quentin Grimes because in this starting five, when you already have Brunson, you already have Barrett, and you already have Randall, those are three, as I would say, ball-dominant players. They really need the ball to be effective. Brunson can play off ball, so could Barrett. But those are guys that are best when the ball is in their hands, meaning the guy that starts at this spot isn't going to get the most touches. And I think out of those three guys on screen, I think Grimes can produce the most with the least amount of offensive touches. I think he's the best defender of the three, and I think he would be cool with playing lockdown defense and just shooting corner threes and catching shoot threes all game long.
See, I agree with you on the defensive side of the floor. I think Grimes, out of these three, by far the best fit. But offensively, Evan Fournier, what he can do without the ball in the hand, just running off pin down screens, kind of being that distraction. Evan Fournier, what Begley said, him and Brunson defensively, not an ideal backcourt.
Worrisome for sure.
But with him offensively, Fournier, I mean, he can really shoot the basketball. And he's kind of got that blackout mode. When he sees the first two go in, his eyes, he's just only seeing back rim. And he can go off for 7, 8 threes in a game. But I think Grimes can get to that level. Only year 2 going into now. So I do think defensively right now, I go Grimes. But offensively, I think Fournier, he still has that flamethrower on him.
For sure. Fournier, I get the idea behind Fournier. We could pop up his stats right now. We'll touch on Reddish in a second. Fournier, my only concern with him is when the Knicks started last season, it was Kemba, it was Fournier, it was RJ, Julius, and Mitchell Robinson. And what we saw was that you have to draw up plays for Evan Fournier. Because you have to get him touches, right? Because, look, you shoot 39% from three. You make 241 three-pointers in a season, which set the New York Knicks record for three-pointers made in a season. If you're drawing up plays for him, that means you're not drawing up plays for RJ. At the beginning of this past season, from watching, RJ became a guy that just caught and shot from the corner. But I get what you're saying with Fournier because he is the best shooter, no doubt, of the three, the best scorer of the three, no doubt. Go back to those Celtics games when he got white hot and made 9, 10 three-pointers in a game and had 40 points. He can carry you offensively. But I think that fits best coming off the bench because if he comes off the bench, he could be your leading shot taker off the bench. You can draw an offense around a guy like Fournier. And if you're not going to draw up plays for Fournier and he's in the starting lineup, he's a net negative because he doesn't play defense.
And I think Derrick Rose and Fournier coming off the bench, that's
Fournier, Rose, and Quickly,
offense.
those three guys with Toppin. You could throw in Jericho Sims or Isaiah Hartenstein. Like we said, there are good arguments for everybody. Fournier's played the most NBA games. He's got the most basketball experience, probably the highest IQ out of these guys. But I think there's a trade-off. He's the best shooter, the best scorer, but of these three guys, he's by far the worst defender. So that's what concerns me a little bit. I get the idea behind Fournier. And look, he's making $18 million.
And Marsh, I will take your stats right here. The final 52 games for Evan Fournier, 15.2 points per game, 39.8 three-point percentage on 30 minutes a game. I mean, he can shoot the ball at 40%
He can shoot the piss out of the ball.
And 15 points a game in the NBA. I mean, you don't roll out of bed averaging that.
No.
So,
but only thing is, it's like this. It's like 30 points for Fournier, then 0 points. Then
but off the bench.
Off the bench, that's acceptable.
So I agree with that.
You can't be inconsistent in this starting lineup.
Now,
if they started Fournier, I would understand it. I would do something different. But there's a lot of people that think Cam Reddish should be the starter, and they always point to what he did in the Eastern Conference Finals when he was a part of the Atlanta Hawks, averaging 13.3 points per game, a steal plus, almost 2 steals per game, and shot 57% from the field and 72% from three. They say Cam Reddish was a guy that has those experience in the playoffs. He's a guy that has the biggest skill set. He can put the ball on the deck. He can shoot from mid-range, from three-point land, can get to the deck. He's 6'8", wingspan, defense, the RJ Barrett connection. It allows RJ to go back to the 2. But I also think this with Cam, kind of the similar mindset of Evan Fournier. The guy that's going to be the 5th starter on this team, I think has to accept that they are going to get the least amount of shots when it comes between Barrett, Brunson, and Julius Randle. And I think the way that you can see the most from Reddish if he comes off the bench and is one of your leading bench minutes guys and gets the most opportunities. Because the stats, when Reddish gets the opportunities, show that he's a guy that will produce. In his career, he's played 70 games where he averaged 20 to 29 minutes per game. And he averaged almost 11 points per game and shot 38 and 32%. But when he averaged 30 to 39 minutes per game, he averaged 14 points per game and 41% from the field and 35% from three. And when he got the minutes like a starter in a Tom Thibodeau system, 40-plus minutes per game, he averaged 29.7 points per game, 50% from the field, and 54% from downtown. I want to see Reddish get a lot of shots this year. I want to see him be able to control the rock. And I'm not sure if Brunson and Barrett are on the court, he's going to get the necessary touches he needs to prove it. Because, look, it's a prove-it year for Cam Reddish. He's about to be a free agent. He'll be a restricted free agent. And the Knicks, they've invested in him. Yeah. They traded a first-round pick for this guy. I just think I get the idea of him starting, right? You get a bigger lineup. RJ at the 2, 6'7". Cam Reddish at the 3, 6'8", 6'9". People say he's the next Paul George. I haven't seen that yet. But he does have potential, and I think to maximize that potential, it's got to be off the bench where he can actually get a role to go get buckets.
I will say, out of these three, Cam Reddish by far has the most potential.
100%.
Like his max version of himself. Maybe it's not Paul George, but maybe it's something similar, because those stats, when he does average more than, 40 minutes a game. I mean, that's ridiculous. 40-plus minutes a game, almost averaging 30 on 50-50 splits. That's pretty good. But if you look at that second one, the 30 to 39 minutes per game, that could be a sweet spot with the Knicks. If, let's just say if you do move off Fournier in a Julius Randle trade and he does have to get more minutes, I think this may be the sweet spot if you do have Cam Reddish playing 30, 39 minutes a game. But again, it's going to come down to if he's able to, swallow his pride a little bit and kind of take a step back and just allow Jalen Brunson, RJ Barrett, and all of them to run the show.
And he's got to be available because injuries have slowed down his career, no doubt. Finally, when he was starting to get in the rhythm and in the rotation with the Knicks, he had that shoulder injury that knocked him out for the year. A lot of people think I hate Cam Reddish. I'm not calling him the next Paul George. That's way too soon. Paul George is going to be a Hall of Famer in the NBA. Does he have that potential? Sure, but what's potential if you don't reach it? It's just who gives a shit. He has the tools, 6'8". He's a tough shot taker. He's a tough shot maker. He's good in the fast break. He's a guy that can attack the rim. He finishes good around the basket. He's a good catch-and-shoot guy from the corner. Like, there are arguments for every player of these three guys to start. But I just think what the Knicks need from that last spot is a defender and a catch-and-shoot guy. And I think that just fits with Quentin Grimes.
So before we get out of here, you're going Quentin Grimes.
I'm
you're
going
typing
Quentin
6?
Grimes. I'll type 6. Look, we showed you the stats. We gave you both of our opinions. I don't know who Seeps is rolling with. I'm rolling with Grimes. I want to hear from you, and then I want to hear from Seeps.
I'm going to go Grimes as well. I was leaning, honestly, before this, I was leaning Fournier. I feel like he is still just a established scorer. But now I'm kind of seeing it off the bench. Like you said last year, 30 points or 10 points, you don't really want that as a starter, especially he's not bringing a lot defensively. I would go Quentin Grimes, kind of instill that confidence in him. He can, kind of develop.
If you weren't going to frickin' include him in a Donovan Mitchell trade, you better frickin' start him.
That's a great point. And if you're thinking about just dumping Fournier with the Randle trade, so I don't know. I would go Grimes. I would start Grimes.
Let's get this super chat that just came in the cut. Because Alan Alford, a real one who watches every single video, he said, MG, when did Quentin Grimes become an untouchable superstar? It's baffling how, if true, they would trade Barrett over him due to his unproven. I do not think Quentin Grimes is untradeable, but they weren't willing to include him in a Donovan Mitchell trade. There's some people in the Knicks organization that came out and said they think Quentin Grimes has a higher potential than RJ Barrett. I don't believe that to be true. I don't think that. I know some people think that. Supposedly, Jerry West has some connections to the Knicks front office now, and he's a huge Quentin Grimes guy. Look, if I'm going to listen to anybody about basketball, it's Jerry West. He knows more about hoops in his pinky than I do in this fat-ass head. But he is not untradeable.
I will say,
I love him, but he ain't untradeable.
Where the NBA is going,
he's the prototypical player.
Prototypical, man. I mean, he is everything that NBA GMs are looking for in a young player, is Quentin Grimes.
And a lot of people like to overreact to Summer League, and some people don't. But the way I view it is, I saw his game improve. I saw him add more to his bag. He was able to put the ball on the deck, get to the hoop, pull up, create his own shot. And he's just a good defender. He's a Tom Thibodeau player is what he is. He is a guy that Tom Thibodeau pushed to go and draft him. He pushed for him really hard. So if your head coach wanted to draft him and you didn't include him in a Donovan Mitchell trade, you better freaking start him or this fan base, they might riot. We'll get out of here. We'll ask the question one more time. You've got all the info. You've got my mindset. You got Seeps' mindset. I think all guys can make sense as starters. But I want to hear from you. Who should start if you're the head coach? Type 13 for Fournier, 21 for Reddish, or 6 for Quentin Grimes.